All right, so I've got a PowerPoint here. I promise it's only like 9 slides. So yes, I'm Jason Vanderveen. I'm the fire chief for North Whatcom Fire Rescue. This is Bruce Ansell. I'm sure most of you know him. Infamous in these parts, yeah. He's the
resident.
He's the board chair of the Board of Fire Commissioners. So North Whatcom Fire and Rescue is technically we're Fire District 21. We do business as North Whatcom Fire and Rescue. So they're not interchangeable, but they're the same thing. We are a political subdivision in the state of Washington, recognized under RCWs. The District 21 was formed in 2006 by merging Fire District 13 and Fire District 3 together. That was a vote of the people. And those districts they've been around since basically 1947. So we've been a political entity for that long. We are on the screen here, you'll see we are the green. We cover 156 square miles. So communities of Blaine, Birch Bay, Semiahmoo, Custer, what I'll call Delta, the area in between, and the area around the city of Linden, and then down through the Meridian area and Laurel. We also have a contract with Fire District 4, which is the orange at the bottom in the middle of the map there. So that brings us to just about 190 square miles. In those, I'm going to go back to concentrating on the green part because that's what we're here talking about. In Fire District 21 in North Whatcom, we have 3 stations that are staffed 24/7. There's a station in Blaine, a station in Birch Bay, the one down the street here, and then we have a station in what I like to call downtown Laurel. We are unique, being that we have a long northern border, and then one of our western border is the water, neither of which are great mutual aid partners. The fire chiefs that are currently in Whatcom County, we're kind of a crop of, we like to think of ourselves as younger fire chiefs. In the old days, fire departments were kingdoms. You did not cross into someone else's kingdom. We have dropped 99% of those barriers. We all survive off mutual and automatic aid, helping each other out. The pink hole in the middle of the donut there, that's the city of Linden. That is one of 2 city departments in the county, the other being Bellingham, obviously. So all the other cities, including Ferndale, are annexed in or have a contract with their local fire district or surrounding fire district, however you want to look at that. Okay, go ahead. Next slide, man. Could you go back 2 slides for me? Yeah. So yeah, Fire District 21, there's about 34,000 people in the fire district. So it's big, but we cover a lot of area. Okay, now you can go ahead. So what we do, we provide fire suppression, EMS. The level of EMS or emergency medical services we provide is to the basic life support level. Paramedics are provided through Whatcom Medic 1, which is a separate line item on your tax bill. That's the Whatcom County EMS tax. We do get at this year, we'll get a small amount of revenue from that. Less than 2% of our overall revenue comes from the EMS levy. Most of that goes to fund advanced life support, which is paramedics. They're the ones that give medications, do the more advanced skills. BLS is, there's more, the way the system is designed, there's more BLS. We can respond quicker. And then the specialized care comes behind. We also, in the city of Blaine, provide fire prevention service. That is something a incorporated city has the choice to provide through the fire district. We currently do that for the city of Blaine, and we provide public education at all the schools in North Whatcom. Yes, sir.
So for, let's say, drug overdose, is that considered a medical service then?
Yes, that's something we respond to. Narcan is something that we carry, so yeah, that's certainly something we do.
Can
Yes.
I ask what some examples of fire prevention?
Fire prevention would be talking to kids about fire prevention, fire safety, also, inspections. So inspections of businesses, working with them on, I don't like to use the word, but the word we use is violations of the fire code, helping them to get caught up and fixed, so that we don't do anything punitive. But what we do is we try to help the business owner bring things up to a safe level. We maintain records for sprinkler system inspections, hood system inspections, all those things. Make sure that they're happening per the fire code. We also, fire prevention division, which is a one person, does all the plan review for commercial buildings coming into the city of Blaine. And make sure that they're meeting the fire code, works with the city staff and that kind of thing. So that's a big part of what the fire prevention does with the municipality inside the district.
Thank you.
Yep.
Just for clarification, since you're not incorporated, you have the Whatcom County fire marshal. So, when people say, why aren't you down here shutting down the fireworks, or why aren't you inspecting our buildings, or why aren't you enforcing in Birch Bay? That's not our responsibility. It's Whatcom County Fire Marshal's responsibility. So the city of Blaine kind of gets the advantage of having a fire marshal that works for our departments.
Wait, I think I'm confused. What is the responsibility of the county?
All the fire prevention and fire marshal and code enforcement and burning permits and all that.
Okay,
We don't have that. The county has not given us that authority. The county retains the authority to enforce fire code in the county.
okay,
In the city of Blaine works with, we work with the city of Blaine to enforce the fire codes
okay.
and all those things. So
I'm sorry.
So the city of Blaine has a contract with you,
yes,
okay, for part of the fire
correct.
package or whatever.
Yes.
it is. Okay,
And to make it more confusing, the city of Blaine, in 2002, 2002, annexed into the fire district. So they don't have, the city of Blaine does not have a fire department. We're their fire department.
okay,
And so they don't collect any fire tax.
Yeah.
We collect the same levy rate in the city of Blaine as we do in Birch Bay, as we do in Custer.
Okay.
And, but because they are a city, they have the authority to have a fire marshal, and we provide that for them as.
so that's an additional
It's an additional piece
piece that
Correct.
the city could have.
that any city can
Any
have.
city.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay, so the city is paying for their fire marshal.
The city of Blaine's going through a rough patch. So
I know.
You have an agreement.
Yeah. Now, can you clarify something for me? There's a development over Birch Bay Village that all of a sudden some stop signs came up.
that's all county.
It was what?
That's all county.
That's all county?
Yes, sir. Horizon. That's.
Horizon?
Mhm.
Okay, because what I was told was that they couldn't develop anymore because they didn't have a emergency way out for people.
They
So they
have two
put up
ways
the-
out. They have the top entrance and the bottom exit.
Yeah, my hearing aids aren't great. I'm gonna buy new ones.
So unlike the neighborhood next to where I live, Deer Trail, you can get in, but you can't get out unless you come out the same way you went in. Horizon has a top entrance exit
Yes.
and a bottom, so they meet the fire code requirement.
Sure.
oh, so when did they make that bottom one?
Well, it's been there since they first developed.
It's been there
property.
all along.
Well,
Oh, I thought it was.
the stop
I
sign
thought
showed
it
up.
was, they had a barrier there.
Yeah,
It's an exit.
yes,
I don't know that the barrier's closed.
but the stop sign showed up a
Yes.
couple years ago.
Has nothing to do with the fire.
I think
that's-
what you might be referring to is there my understanding of it was when that was initially permitted, once they hit a certain threshold of homes, I think it was 300, like
Yeah.
301st building permit would be contingent on that bypass that would connect Birch Point to Lincoln and Chindapper. And then when that everything fell apart in subprime mortgage crisis, and then they kind of came back online a few years ago, it just, that requirement wasn't put on
It
the
wasn't-
county.
Carried through,
Yeah.
the hearing examiner dropped it, I was at that hearing, Dorley was there, she
Kathy.
testified, Kathy was there. It got dropped
Yeah.
totally, so
Oh,
there
yeah.
is no, there is no requirement for anyone to put that road through.
Yeah, I know.
Now, although I think Roland had said that there might be a way to tie it to tsunami evacuation.
Right,
It's on the long term.
Yeah, the
TIP,
six
yeah.
year CIP.
Yeah, I know about that. I was just curious about the stop signs that showed up. And
We found out the same day you did.
okay,
They don't consult us. That was,
okay,
yeah.
thanks for clarifying.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, next.
All right.
So here's just some quick stats. So in 2024, the fire districts responded to just about 6,000 emergency responses. Of those, 4,200 were medical emergencies. The interesting stat that we have, and again, it's part of it is because of that northern border and the west side being water. We have 2,300 overlapping calls. So that means that we've got the aid car from Birch Bay, maybe going to Blaine because Blaine's already out on an aid call. I have seen as many as 6 calls happening in our fire district at once.
Mhm.
A preponderance of our calls are on what we call the west side, so west of I-5, so Blaine and Birch Bay.
Yeah,
I tried to bring a heat map, to embed a heat map in here. I couldn't get it to work the way I wanted to, so I didn't because it would have created more confusion. But if you look at the district in a heat map, the left side is really red.
The population.
The population area, yes, the populated area. So, and those overlapping calls, again, that's part of the reason I talked about fire districts dropping some of those boundaries and those walls down, because everybody's seeing this. This is a common thing. Okay, next slide. So some of our challenges are increasing call volume. We're seeing our call volumes increase about 5 to 10%, between 5 and 10% a year. It's due to growth. It can be due to the economy. It can be due to gas prices. It can be due to things like fentanyl, what's new, what's out there on the street. There's a lot of things that go into it. Long transport times are another challenge we have.
Mhm.
We have one hospital we can transport to, and that's St. Joe's. And from here, it's about a 90-minute when our crews leave the station to the time they get back. If they're going to transport somebody from this area, it's about 90 minutes. So they are out of service. They're gone from this area for 90 minutes. Infrastructure delays. That means everything from road construction to new construction to, again,
Trains.
trains, exactly, the trains. We read in the paper the same day you did that we're gonna get a roundabout here at Blaine and Birch Bay Linden Road to expect a 90-day shutdown or something crazy like that.
Hard close.
Yeah, how thanks for the update, guys. We'll figure it out, I guess.
And the culvert at Birch Bay Linden, that's
Right.
a hard closure.
The
Months.
Birch Bay Linden Road, which we've dealt with that one before during the emergency fix. And all of these delays is the same things I think you guys worry about, and that's that tsunami, that what if. How are we gonna get all these people out of here in a timely manner when really we have 2 access points? And that's 2 we'll call it 3. Only 2 if the Dakota Creek Bridge survives an
Yeah.
earthquake, which it's not expected to. So we have an increasing complexity of calls. As our population ages, the calls get more complex. Also with what the healthcare industry is doing, not to pick on anybody, but as Peace Health maybe gobbles up more independents And then cut services. Typically EMS is the safety net for a lot of people. So our crews are dealing with a lot of different things. So they're not so much firefighters and EMTs as they've added social worker in a lot of cases to their job description.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
This isn't super related to cooperation, but in November 2021 with the flooding, what did you have any challenges with that, or what was the fire department's, the district's concerns about?
We did, I-5 got shut down to one lane, and it was emergency traffic only. So at that time, we were scrambling, trying to figure out, how many doctors we had in this area, what we had at this clinic here. We were starting to move ALS units north and work on getting airlift. And the Navy and the Coast Guard, kind of spun up so that we could take ALS patients from this island up here south. Luckily, the tides worked out and it never completely covered I-5, but we were frighteningly close.
I was coming back from California when that happened, and it took us 14 hours to get from Mount Vernon to home. Sleeping in the car overnight at the Lake Whatcom community, and it opened my eyes to, we're almost an island when you look at all the bridges and the
Right.
rivers you cross to get here. But there's a real urgency.
Yeah, if you follow the Nooksack River. And it weaves through our fire district. And if that floods out any of those bridges, there are communities that can't go.
Yeah.
It's a huge.
Question about the train. Have you complained about the train, and has anyone ever died because of the train?
Not, I don't have any data on if anybody's died waiting for the train, waiting for the crossing to open.
Right.
I've never
No, I
heard
mean,
of that.
an EMT person, because I had a
Oh.
situation where my granddaughter had an epilepsy seizure in Blaine,
Mhm.
in Blaine. And the EMT couldn't get to us because they were coming, like you were saying, they had to come, they couldn't
Right.
come from Blaine, they came from Birch Bay.
Unfortunately, train delays are
Yeah.
a multi-weekly, it happens multi-times a week.
Yeah.
We have complained
Mhm.
and we get no response.
One of the big reasons that the trains are so slow, if they're coming out of Canada, there's a station that DHS has
Right.
that slows them down to 5 miles an hour.
That's where they x-ray the
Yeah.
cars.
That's where they x-ray them. And they had tried to do an overpass over that train tracks so that the vehicles could get in and out. But they gave them, I think it's $20 million to come up with a design. But nobody said where they're gonna get the money from to actually do it.
Yeah,
But there's nothing that anybody can do. Because DHS is gonna say, I've got to slow them down so I can take pictures up underneath those cars. And that, they won't budge on that.
We've asked them to move that south. To an area that wouldn't be as impactful, but they wanted it close to their offices.
Right.
Well, they want them because they don't have it, that they had to get border patrol involved if they get out of that area. And that's, the thing is, you're talking two different entities, border patrol and port. The port people handle the ports and nothing else. Border patrol handles the land between the ports. And they fight all the time.
To answer your question, ma'am, I have nobody during my time when I was working on the floor, I never responded to that. I have not been told by any of our crews, nor do I have data, nor have I seen any pending lawsuits of a delay causing
Okay.
someone
To die.
to
I
die.
mean, my
Yeah.
granddaughter came out of her
Yeah.
epileptic seizure, but
Just a
I
matter
was
of
just
time.
wondering if.
Unfortunately,
It is, it's a matter of time, the
Right.
more
Right.
population.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
Right,
It's,
right.
I
it,
100%.
we're all
agree.
sitting here.
Although I
knowing.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Although I think that your guy was gonna die when he got there that day, because it was a child and he
Oh, yeah.
was frustrated. It was like, he jumped down. I thought he was gonna be run over.
The bigger challenge than the train is the multiple calls.
That's the what?
Well, that was a
More than one
that
call.
was a,
Multiple calls,
That
though,
was-
with the
Uh-huh,
slide where we showed 2,300 times.
right.
yeah,
We have more than one call going on at the same time, so. Everyone knows in both fire and EMS, especially cardiac arrest, that time is life. And so if you live in Birch Bay Village and the Birch Bay station is on a call, your closest unit could be Blaine. Oftentimes it's Ferndale. I live at Deer Trail and Birch Bay Drive. I see Ferndale go by almost every other day. Which is nice that we have that mutual aid ability. We're still talking, add another 5 minutes, maybe 10 to your response time. Which we're currently analyzing those response times. To demonstrate the impact that this is having on our community. And we'll get to part of the reasons why we can't do anything about it right now towards the end of our discussion.
You know how many of your calls are non-residents, like either,
We don't,
so-
we don't currently track I mean, there's I could probably find a data person that could pull that
Yeah,
out.
like, I mean, the Airbnb is a hot topic,
I
like
can't-
how many calls do you?
I can't pull it out of my level. But yeah, that's an interesting question as well. We do get a number of patients that want to be transported north of the border, which is not something that we do.
That's true.
So, right.
So I have a question.
Yes.
So 8 calls, they frequently send the fire truck as well?
Yeah, sometimes we'll bring both, yes.
And why is that?
So they have all their tools. They
Yeah.
can, that way they can leave if they get a second, because we have so many second calls.
yeah,
If
Okay,
that second call is a fire, they don't have to go back to the station, put on their bunker gear, grab the engine and jump on, and then going around, they can go straight. They've got everything they need right there to go from an aid call to a fire.
Hmm.
Or a car accident, or an
Mhm.
elevator problem, anything like that. It's just like it's like a plumber. If you call them for a backed up sink and they only brought the sink box, but then your toilet was backed up and they had to go back to the shop for the toilet box, it's frustrating. And
They bring them all.
they just bring them all. They've got all their stuff. And believe it or not, in the great scheme of things, the fuel and the wear and tear on those rigs is much less than it would be for the fire loss based on concurrent calls.
Yeah.
So it just pencils out for us to do that.
How do you prioritize your response when you get multiple calls? How are they prioritized?
Life over property. It's always life over property. So if they're going to a grass fire and a CPR in progress comes out, they're gonna get units coming to that grass fire, and the closest unit is gonna divert to that life-threatening emergency.
Question going back to the trains,
Mhm.
do you have the capability of knowing where? No.
They will not, for security reasons, they will not share that with us.
For security reasons?
Yes.
They tell you?
Yes, they will not share any information about when trains are coming, when they're not coming.
That's why they don't run the same time every day, except for Amtrak.
Really? I didn't.
they're
They
secure, but you're
don't.
not.
They run whenever.
Yes.
Yeah.
they don't.
Interesting. Okay, so one more question,
Yeah.
because you brought up grass fires. Okay, so we're gonna have a 4th of July, and we're gonna have every pyro
Mhm.
in Whatcom County comes to Birch Bay on the 4th. Well, this is the first year that the berm project, which is lovely, has grown
Dry grass.
the dry grass, right? I keep looking at that thinking, because I could tell you last year and the year before and forever, there has been no grass. There's nothing to burn. Now we have this grass that's this tall, and it's gonna dry out by the fourth. Is that a potential problem?
It's a concern. It's a
Okay.
concern.
It might be the impetus for the county to restrict fireworks in Birch Bay at some point. I mean, I hate to say it, but the only time you can get action is when something bad happens. And I'm not asking for something bad to happen, but I walk that berm every day and I'm just thinking, oh man, it's just gonna,
Oh, you're
It's-
thinking the same thing?
oh, absolutely. I was a firefighter for 30 years. It's gonna be very interesting.
You know,
We have the hose ready at our.
As a county fire district, we have no authority to enforce
Okay,
any kind of fireworks ban or anything. That is solely the purview of the county sheriff's department.
well,
Wow.
there's no fireworks ban, that's for sure.
We
I'm
cannot,
just worried
we
about the
can't
fire.
confiscate,
Yeah,
we can't confiscate, we
Mhm.
can't stop anybody from doing anything. We can advise and, you know, but unfortunately, that's what our authority, our
right.
legal authority is.
However, a lot of cities are able to
Cities.
ban the use of fireworks within their jurisdictions.
But they still have them.
Yeah, they do, but not to the extent.
Yeah,
Right.
they in Bellingham area still have problems.
Yeah, but mm,
I mean,
Yeah.
cities could ban fireworks, but here's the problem. The Lummies are making money selling fireworks. People have the fireworks, they're gonna shoot them off someplace.
Well, if legally, they're supposed to do it on the reservation.
That's okay.
Right.
yeah,
What
legally.
about legalities?
I know,
They have
I
the
need-
fireworks, they're gonna shoot them off.
Mhm.
Well, they don't shoot them off at Birch Bay over the water, where are they gonna be shooting off?
In our
And that
neighborhood,
would be more of a fire problem.
our neighborhood is a war zone.
Yeah,
Like when the church I go to, the Birch Bay Bible, we have a
Mhm.
fireworks, but we have a fire engine that
Yep.
comes out there just because of that.
Hmm.
Because we don't fireworks, you know, they're nice. When the winds,
What do you need 3 days worth?
Right.
I think toxic if nothing else.
You got a question, Mel?
Nice, not
Uh, Regarding the railroad crossing that comes out to Birch Bay, that they keep saying they're gonna do an over the railroad.
Up in Blaine,
Yeah,
yes,
do you have any idea when that's likely?
that is a City of Blaine project, and I know they received some funding.
10 years from now, is that what?
Yeah, it's gonna be.
20 years from now.
they got money to design it. They didn't get any
Correct.
money to build it.
That's right.
Was looking forward to it.
No,
Well, I hate to say it, you might meet your maker before they get that overpass
All right.
made.
Let's get back on track.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I wanted to go off track. Go ahead.
just one more challenge is here, just unable to keep up with the pace of growth. That goes physically and financially. So the growth in the area, just the people, the population,
Mhm.
new roads, all those things. And due to the way that our taxing authority works, we are limited to 1% growth per year in our budget. Without approval of the citizens, we, in 2021 and
Yeah.
2024, sorry, we came to the voters of the district and asked for a levy lid lift, and both times were denied. And I 3 times.
We ran
yeah.
it 3 times.
Yeah, we ran it in August
Yeah.
and November of 2021, and then in August of 2024. We don't need to get in, I mean, I'll let Commissioner Ansell take that.
No, he can't talk. Okay. You can increase the taxes at 1% a year, right?
Plus new growth, which equals out to about 2%.
Okay, new growth and still needs to, but inflation, if it's doing well, works at 2.5% a year. You're never gonna keep up. I voted for the levy increase. We needed it. I'm sorry it failed. Did you have to close a fire station?
No, not yet.
Oh, not yet. I'm just wondering how this is influencing semi-ammo people.
This year's budget is $1.6 million in reserves.
Okay,
It's not
That-
sustainable.
we can do this for about 3 more years,
Okay,
and then we'll be out of this.
Okay, I do have a question.
Yes.
So when you looked at the levies, I know Birch Bay passed. If you looked at our area, we did vote yes.
yes,
The area that didn't was Laurel.
that's right.
Is there a way for you to? No, you did try.
Not legally.
Not legally, we can't do that.
You mean give us service in that? then?
Well, and that's the sad part. They're more rural. I don't understand why the
You're gonna-
population. And we're the ones that need it and we're voting yes, but we're not getting what we need because there's a group that
What-
voted no.
What would help if I can't tell you how to vote, right?
Right,
As a commissioner, I can just say, please vote and we'd love your support.
Mhm.
What we need is the numbers of people that support us to be higher than the numbers that don't.
okay, gotcha, yeah. all right.
And there are, believe it or not, enough people that face the water,
Mhm,
that if they all voted
Mhm.
and they supported the fire department, we would pass the levy.
Okay,
So
good to know.
our frustration is not that we're not getting support here, is
Yeah,
we're not getting the numbers.
Enough,
of,
okay,
You know, and it's a mail, they mail the ballot to you and you don't even have to put a stamp on it. Why
Okay.
people don't fill it out is beyond.
especially when we
comprehension.
already discussed here, the number 2 thing was,
Well,
number 1 was
that's why
emergency and fire.
That's why I was chuckling
Right.
when Matt said, oh, and people really think that fire and EMS are number 2 on the importance list, yet we failed 3 levies. So how, is it really that important or is it not?
Their pocketbook is.
Maybe you need a little bit more community.
Yeah.
Support in those times, you know,
Education,
to get out the vote.
more,
Right, and of course, we as a fire department district aren't allowed to promote,
That's not your job.
you know?
yeah,
And we're extremely, there's laws that.
Yeah.
strict
Yeah,
what we
yes, yeah.
can.
We can send one mailer, we can't ask you to vote yes. And, you know, we just don't have the resources and.
Yeah.
The tricky thing is the chamber could help, and they end up, the Chamber of Commerce, they end up doing a lot of civic type of things, like keeping track of what's going on at the county council meetings and that kind of stuff. Because there's no one else to do it for Birch Bay, but also that's not anywhere in the job description for the Chamber of Commerce. They're to promote local business, so that's the challenge from
Right.
that group. And
So what about a foundation? Because I myself always vote for it, and it's frustrating when it doesn't pass. Because anytime you use the aid card, you know how important it is.
Right.
So, like WSU, you know, they have foundations to help support some of their
Yeah.
outreach stuff.
We would love to have one.
Because I think people would still, you know, donate separately if there was a way to do it.
That is nice, it wouldn't solve our sort of
Your big problem.
day-to-day
But maybe you could help
operations.
buy some equipment, you know?
Anything would help. I came from a city that had Somerset Women for Medic One, and they gave hundreds of thousands of dollars to the fire department for equipment and training and things like that. But what we need is a grassroots effort to pass a levy. Interesting that I'm an elected official to run the fire district,
Yeah.
but I'm
It
not,
doesn't have any.
I'm not allowed to say we need more money.
That's maybe I just want to feel depressed. Several years ago, I attended a Fire 21 meeting, it was out in the county. And while I was there, a fella who had built a house up on Mount Baker area came to the commissioners and pleaded to have fire protection for him who was out of Fire 21 area. You know, people always want a freebie, they don't want to pay. And there's a lot of us that understand, man, I like to pay, I just don't want to have to use the services.
It's like life insurance, you know?
Yeah,
Some people think it's important, other people take the risk
Is
and
that-
don't buy it, so.
Station over in Semiahmoo ever, is it ever used? Why is it even there?
It was.
I can tell you why it was there.
Let them speak, Pat.
It was initially built by the developer, by,
Sorry, David, sorry.
um, to offset, basically, fire impact fees that the city was going to charge the developer. So they built that station, and the station is great, but what a station needs is firefighters, and
And they don't have
they
any.
don't have it. And we don't have the money to, we don't have the money to afford to put the,
And it
we
was
can't
the
afford to put them in.
City of Blaine Fire Department at the time.
Yes. And another thing about that station, it was built with little living units above it.
Mhm.
The idea was maybe, people in Semiahmoo weren't going to volunteer to be on a fire department, but other people would be, and they needed a place to live.
And that, the volunteer system is pretty well gone.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
Whatcom County, it does survive in the east side of the county,
Mhm.
but anymore, people are, young families, they're working 2 or 3 jobs.
That's right.
And they, my wife has told me, if you were trying to get in the fire service and did it the same way you did, there's no way I'd let you do what you did, which was
Mhm.
volunteer for years, and
Yeah,
it's just, unfortunately, it's a thing of the past, so.
yeah.
So is that building just sitting there?
It is, we maintain it, it's heated, we've turned the water off to it, I'd call it, we mothballed it, kind of like the Navy does with ships out at Bremerton, that they could use them again if they had to.
So you actually, the fire department owns that
We own
building?
it, yes.
Okay,
Yep, we own it,
Well, if the one you're in up here is in such bad shape, why are you not moving to that one?
because what it would do to response times in the Birch Bay area
Okay.
would be really bad.
Okay,
that's quite a ways.
Yeah,
And it doesn't have the apparatus space.
It doesn't hold the
They
number.
can fit.
okay.
this building here used to be the fire station for Fire 13?
Yes,
Yeah.
prior to that one.
Yeah,
The old
Yeah,
range.
right over there, yeah.
Range of the school and the fire department.
Yep.
Wow. And
So next bullet point is aging facilities and vehicles. A lot of our stuff is old. And the other thing, since we all know that prices of everything has gone up since COVID. An example, so I became the chief in 2019. We bought an engine at that time for $695,000. We need to buy another engine now, and the quote we got was 1.3 million.
And how long does it take?
Takes about 3 years to get it.
Take the
So-
ferry.
So,
You can't
Um,
go to the car lot and buy a fire truck.
and while people will look at fire engines and say, well, that doesn't look worn out, the secret in the sauce is that your insurance company will only give credit for a fire engine that's 20 years younger or less.
Mhm.
It gets max points between 0 to 10 years, and after 10 years, it
Start
drops
going down.
off. It starts going down, and by 20 years, it's worth no points. We currently, and we're not the only fire district, but in the county, we're seeing areas that are considered almost uninsurable. For
Yeah,
the first time ever by the WSRB, which is the group that provides insurance companies information about water systems, fire safety, protection. So
And that's because the trucks are too old.
it's because the trucks are too old, we don't have enough people, we don't have enough personnel.
Water
Our
supply,
equipment is
response
old.
time.
Response times, all, the way our budgets are compressed. Another issue for us is unfunded mandates.
oh,
And
yeah,
I feel bad putting them before employee retention, because what I'm gonna pick on is things like paid family medical leave. All those kind of things affect us as well. We're an employer. Our L&I rates, unfortunately, since 2018, we've had 3 firefighters die in the line of duty from cancer. We have 2 more. We have 1 retiree and 1 firefighter that's, I graduated from high school the same year. He's got cancer he's going to die from. He's just not done working, so he still works. Our L&I rates are through the roof. We saw a
Sure.
$200,000 raise in our L&I
Yeah.
rates this year, and that's not something we get a vote on.
yeah,
They just tell us what our rates are gonna
that's
be.
right.
And I think one of our critical challenges as well, is, and I think Commissioner Ansell agrees with me, is employee retention. The fire department we cannot teach them to do the job in one day. It takes years and years and years. This is a craft, it's a trade. It's like a carpenter or a finish carpenter. when we lose a lieutenant or a captain that's been here for 15 years to go to a higher paying job in Bellevue, I lose the sum of that person's experience
Yeah.
and what they've seen. And I can't just replace them in
Yeah.
one fell swoop. So unfortunately, part of retaining employees is being an attractive employer.
Yeah.
And we are, in the old days, we didn't compete with the Bellevues and Seattles, but now with people are willing to drive 2 hours to go to work.
Mhm.
And so it makes it very hard. We have to pay.
Yeah.
You know, to keep.
A fair wage.
A fair wage,
Yeah, right.
not exorbitant, but it's expensive and it's gotten more expensive, you know. I have a daughter that works at McDonald's. I can't believe how much she makes. Right? And so
$50.
it's, yeah, 17, 15, $18 an hour, right? And which means that every wage above that
Yeah.
has gone up.
Yeah.
And so
Do you think an updated station would help with retention?
it would, the station, only one of our stations was built for paid staff, meaning 24/7. The station at Birch Bay here is a great example. It was built in the 80s. It's a great volunteer station. The layout is good for volunteers. It's not so good for paid staff. We have one locker room that's got showers in it. Well, it's 2025. We've got mixed gender crews. The lock on that door is a, you know, Ace Hardware slide lock. And if you haven't seen your partner in a while and the door opens and the shower's on, you better knock and ask who's in there. We have one ADA bathroom. So if a kid in a wheelchair wants to come tour the fire station, it's a 1980s ADA bathroom. The
Yeah.
toilet is extremely low. Anybody that's had a hip replacement knows that that's not
No.
great.
No.
You
Yeah.
can't do that. The roof leaks. It's a flat roof. I don't know who decided to put a flat roof in the Northwest. It's probably a great idea at the time.
We did that.
Guy, I won't bring anything up. I mean, yeah. So there's a myriad of things, all those things, yeah, and mental health has gotten to be a big thing in the fire service. This job, it wears on you. And there's nowhere for the crews to decompress and escape,
Yeah.
kind of what they do in a day. And that's, as we learn more about taking care of people, ourselves included,
Yeah.
one thing we find is that allowing people to decompress right after a critical incident
Sure.
is important. And part of that is where they live, the
Yes.
colors they see, you know, the areas they have to go for a walk in
Yeah.
close proximity to where they work. And that station doesn't provide any of that. So we're in the process of looking at what it would cost to bring it up a little bit. We're not looking for the Taj Mahal. You know, respectful and reflects the community is one of my big drivers for how I see that station going. But we have to do something. It's not the other, I have no data. I'm probably gonna get talked to in the parking lot about this, but everybody that's got cancer has worked for a long time at that station.
Oh, that's what I was gonna ask.
We've
Are they
had
on the
we've
job?
had an air quality, yep, all 5 of them are on the job.
On the
We've
job.
had an air quality person come out, they don't see anything, but convince the employees of that.
Oh,
Wow.
that doesn't say anything.
It's a numbers game, right? So it's a concern of theirs and it's a concern of ours.
Yeah.
It's not, we're not poo-pooing it, it's just,
So
we
all
don't
the
have to
cancer is
collect it.
from that one station.
I'm not saying that. It's ironic that all 5 of them have
Right.
worked at that station for a long time.
Right.
So-
Right.
That's,
Yeah.
and the troops know that,
Mhm. Mhm.
so, and the spouses know that. So that makes, okay, next slide.
Probably makes it harder to get somebody new to come in.
It makes them concerned. So I did a little research, and Matt sent me a great email that coincided with what I found, and I actually asked our attorney as well. And this is kind of the short what happens if Birch Bay were to incorporate as far as the fire service. So the new city is temporarily annexed into the fire district until the end of that calendar year. So the new city would not have taxing authority over the fire district. The citizens would pay the current fire levy till the end of the year. During that time, between the time of the vote of incorporation and the end of the year, the city is building the council, they're electing the council, the mayor, those kind of things. During that time, the new council and the Board of Fire Commissioners could choose together to extend that temporary annexation at the current levy rate for another calendar year. During that calendar year, the city needs to decide, do you want to join the fire district permanently by annexation? Or are you going to set out and make your own fire department? I would point again to the fact that there's only one small city fire department in this county. And I know their struggles. If it wasn't I'm from Linden, my house is Veen, I get it. If it wasn't a Dutch pride thing, they'd be in a fire district. But they can't get over themselves. So,
It's Linden.
it's Linden, exactly. It's just Linden. So that is kind of the short. And Matt and I were talking before the meeting. There's two ways to do it, really. There's the city contracts with the fire district, or you choose to permanently annex into the fire district. Blaine has chosen to permanently annex into the fire district. I'm not sure of what Fire District 7's arrangement with City of Ferndale is. I don't know whether they are permanently annexed or not. So,
And just one more little complicating piece to that is that your area that you're proposing is in two different fire districts. The Bay Road is the line, so Whitehorn and Sea
It's fire
Breeze
seven.
are District 7. So if you did incorporate, you would have to have two separate votes. Those people that are in 7 would vote for their levy rate, those that are in 21 would vote for
Yeah,
21's levy rate. And I think they're pretty
close
right now.
the levy rates are pretty close right now.
Can I ask a question? I guess under which scenario would Birch Bay be able to better support fire department? If we're annexing in, then the level of service and the level of taxation is still subject to a vote of people well outside the city limits? Or would a city be able to say, we value you and want you and not have to compete with no votes from outside?
I think it would be economically undesirable for you to form your own fire
Yeah.
department, right?
Yeah.
And that's the only legal way you can get more service. Currently, we're discussing with Simeon, one of our other commissioners who lives in Simeon was discussing with them because they like, well, can we pay more and get better service? And it was like, well, no, you legally can't. Now, your point was, well, can we form a foundation and can we buy equipment? That would certainly help us and make us better for the whole district. So, I think cities are limited to $3.60 in taxes. If they include the library and the fire district, they get $1.60 for themselves, they get $1.50 for fire, they get 50 for library. So, if you pull library and fire out, then you have the $1.60 to work with and not have to mess with the other.
Do you want me to read so this is from the feasibility study from 2008. It's also important to note that according to state statutes, the maximum levy rate that can be guaranteed to a city in a given year is $1.60 per $1,000 of assessed value. This maximum is based on the assumption that the city will, 1, continue to receive fire and emergency medical services from one or more fire districts, and 2, continue to receive library services from the Whatcom County Library System, which I think that's going to be the preferable option, but that limits your levy rate that a city can levy lower than what the county can do. But if you then want to provide your own library and fire services, it raises that.
Right, so
maximum
just
levy rate to 360.
numbers wise, the library is currently at like what, 26 cents and they want to go to 42.
Yeah.
They can go to 50, but they're gonna go to 42. The fire district can go to $1.50 because of the 1% compression that we're stuck with. We're at 76 cents right now. So we're collecting half of what we potentially could. We don't need $1.50, but you know, we would take a dime right now. Pat,
My feeling is annex to the fire district. One thing that Birch Bay can do as a city in terms of fire protection is that we could make certain requirements on developers that they need to do certain things. Actually, when the condos came in, the timeshares came in, Jerry Juberts had them buy a hook and ladder truck. So,
those are over $2 million.
yeah,
Just FYI.
We are running out of time.
Yep.
So this is the last slide, is just my
Okay.
contact information. I've put some of my business cards here on the back table if you'd like to grab one, if you have any
Okay.
additional questions. Just one more piece, if you cannot, within a local improvement district, which is oftentimes used as a way to improve services in a political subdivision, is not eligible to fire districts, or you can use it for water and sewer, you can use it for public works. It's not, that's where a lot of people go when they start.
Okay.
How can we
no,
fix?
no, I'm glad you
Right.
pointed that
Yeah,
out,
so
because
it's-
that was in the back of my head.
It's, right now in the RCWs, it's
Yeah.
not, trust me, I've gone down that, I'm trying to, anything I can to figure out, how can we improve the west side definitely wants more services, they want improved service, and we can see that,
And they use it more.
and they
So,
use it more. Yep.
I had one question from Jonathan Mallahan, our research and feasibility chair, who couldn't be here today. He said, I'd like to ask the fire people if they have authority under the state law to fulfill a fire inspection / permit review for a city that could significantly speed up review processes for Birch Bay related to building permits.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thought so, but thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions?
Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you for
Thank
coming.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you for
excellent.
doing what you do.
I really appreciate the details you gave us. You did a super job.
All right. Move to adjourn.
I figured in a second, there were 8 people online. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Let's grab it. So, all right, meeting's adjourned. Thank you so much. Right on time.
Wow.
Yes.